And I think that's one of the powers of storytelling, is it's not just you're telling a story, but it's the act of storytelling. It's actually going through the process yourself, reflecting on the stories, the love, the emotions that you wish to share with your audience, whoever that is.
This is the Business Owners Smashing It Online podcast for entrepreneurs and business owners looking for cool online tools, apps and strategies to make business easy online. My name is Nick Cree and I'm your host. Each episode features a guest expert demystifying the online universe, sharing inspirational ideas and providing tested real-world strategies to help you get the most of what's available online to grow your business today. Don't be a slave to your business, get your business working for you. Subscribe now and get some great content and ideas for you and your business today. All right, well, here we go. This is the time in the evening that I get to sit back and relax, and I get to learn a whole lot of stuff as well too, which is my secret. It's a reason why I hold Business Owners Smashing It Online. It's all for my education and learning with some pretty cool people. So I'm just glad that everyone else can join me here with it as well too. So we've got Leanne and Sashua. I'll give you a bit of background about them as well. So Leanne's an international best-selling author. She's a conscious cash flow coach. She's in financial planning, and she's a facilitator of the Radiant series of multi-author books. So she's worked with lots of authors and coached them and helped them to write their stories into a book there. So he mentors visionary leader entrepreneurs to catapult their visibility, impact, and to leave a legacy. So she's got over 16 years experience running a finance company, and she's helped hundreds of clients to save millions of dollars on their finances. So I know she's she's well known, and she's got people that absolutely rave about her in that space there in terms of what she's done. So her experience has led her to see how the limitations that the traditional finance system has, and particularly for women. And that's really what's led her to create several cash flow transformation programs, including Creative Energetic Millionaires. Love to know more about that. So Leanne lives with her husband. She's got 3 sons on an acre in the tropical paradise of the sunny Gold Coast hinterland. And then Sashua, she lives at the other end of the country. She's down in Gippsland in Victoria, where she lives with her husband and an Italian sheepdog. How can you tell us Italian? Does it bark in a different language? Or
It's a whole different aspect and tone in the bark, yeah.
Oh, there you go. Excellent. Well, she's a transformation coach, a group facilitator, intuitive mentor, and she's also an international best-selling author and a keynote speaker. So she spent 12 years in corporate in human resources, and she's also spent 16 years in intuitive coaching, mentoring, and facilitating personal and professional development, as well as group facilitation. So she's a master coach. She's engaging. She's passionate. Got a nurturing approach to what she does with people and business, with the transformation experiences that she offers people, and she's very much into collaboration and personal mastery. So they are both here tonight to come and talk to us about to discover how to become a soulful storyteller and to get published. So let's put our hands together and welcome Leanne and Sashua.
Thank you very much, Nick. That was an awesome intro. It's fabulous to see everyone here tonight. We're just going to do a quick screen share and we will get underway.
Thank you, Nick. So as we said, Sashua and I are going to present on how to become a soulful storyteller and get published.
Tonight, what we're going to cover is firstly asking you the question, are you a storyteller? We're going to talk about the power of storytelling, different types of storytelling. We're going to take you through a quick case study to help you understand more about the elements of storytelling and how it can create massive success in your business. The possibilities of a collaboration book as a way of storytelling, the solo versus collective element. That'll make a lot more sense when we go through that. Who benefits and how from a collective experience, And we will wrap up with some fabulous publishing secrets. So Nick just gave a fabulous introduction to the delightful Leanne Clune. As you can see, she is an international best-selling author, a conscious cash flow coach. So taking that financial planning to a much deeper level. She is the CEO and publisher of Radiant Books and multi-author projects, massive experience running her own professional finance company. And I too, like Nick, love that Creative Energetic Millionaires program. And the picture in the background is actually Leanne's property. So isn't that a stunning sunset and view to look out over all the time? And I know Leanne to be an extremely sincere, passionate entrepreneur who just wants to get out in business and really support other entrepreneurs in their journey. And she does that in all sorts of creative ways, from the financial element and now from this element of supporting entrepreneurs to be visible and get their message out there. So it's a delight to be with you here today, Leanne.
Thank you so much, Sashua. And I will introduce Sashua. Sashua is a very good friend of mine and co-facilitator of the new Radiant Books programs. I can't see it all, Sashua. Can it move a bit, the slide, or just I can't see all of the writing?
Okay, it's full screen for me.
Hey?
It's full screen for me, so.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Just a minute. I'll see if I can. It doesn't matter. Sashua is a transformation and energy coach, and she is an intuitive mentor. She has 12 years in corporate HR and 16 years experience in intuitive coaching. She lives with her husband and Marima dog, as Nick was saying, on acreage in Gippsland. Sashua is also an international #1 best-selling author, and Sashua was actually in my book last year, the first Radiant book. I know Sashua to be one of the most genuine and authentic people that I have the pleasure of working with. She is genuinely interested in all things about up-leveling her clients and her own life. She's an extremely hard worker and very conscientious. So it's a pleasure to work with you, Sashua.
Thank you. Now, the interesting thing that Leanne and I have in common is when we're not doing book collaborations, we quite often are found on a tractor or a ride-on mower. That's one thing we have in common. And we both love to co-create with the universe regularly and passionately. So working with those intuitive insights to create possibilities that are bigger than the normal landscape provides. So as we start today, we would like you to actually consider a question. Do you consider yourself a storyteller? Now, to answer that question, I'm going to pop a link in the chat, and knowing that all you guys are very tech savvy, I'd like you to click on that link and fill in a very short and anonymous questionnaire. You can simply, it's just a multi-choice. You can click as many choices as you like, but let's just check in with where you are at on your storytelling journey. All right, so we'll get everyone to jump in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to screen share the results live so that you can see them as everyone puts in their results. So feel free to choose more than one if you wish. Here we go. Let's see. We've got a few. I have written some stories and shared some. Written some, shared none. That's a very common one. Have not written any stories, let alone shared them. Yep, that's pretty common too. Excellent. Look, number two's taking the lead. Written some stories and shared some. Well, that's great. It looks like most people have put their input into that. So it's great to see where you guys are at so that we know where to really take things tonight. So some of you have some experience in writing stories already, which is fantastic. So let's see if we can expand your experience and expand your frame of reference to take it even further. All right. Thank you very much for participating in that. Okay, so now we're going to go back over to you, Leanne.
Thank you, Sashua. So I want to briefly touch on the power of storytelling. And when I talk about storytelling, I'm really talking about deep, heartfelt storytelling. And, you know, storytelling is in our DNA. It's what our ancestors used to do as a survival mechanism. You know, they'd sit around the fire and you would listen to your elders and be advised on survival techniques. And it really has become lost in our society these days. When you tell a story from your heart and it's authentic and in alignment with you, you absolutely draw people into you magnetically. And I have experienced, and I 100% believe that storytelling is extremely underutilized in business. And it is such a powerful marketing tool if it is used strategically and intuitively. And this is what we do in the Radiant Books programs. And we're going to be going into more detail about that a bit later on.
And for me, the power of storytelling is knowing that, and can I just have a quick show of hands? Who's heard the term know, like, and trust? Yep, we've got a few hands in the air. Yep, quite a few of us have heard that term, right? And we use that as a marketing term to say that our audience always needs to get to know us, to like us, then to trust us, and then they will, you know, start to engage us for our products and services. Well, to me, the power of storytelling is taking that one step further. It's like, for me, storytelling takes it to a level of authenticity. And authenticity to me is the new know, like, and trust, because there's a lot of people putting a lot of content out there. There's a lot of blogs, there's a lot of videos, there's a lot of things coming out. But what people are really looking for now is that more deep connection. They want to know who you are beyond your brand, and they want to know who you are and your experiences that you've had that have made you the person you are today. And storytelling is the vehicle for that.
Excellent. So on the left, this is little me. I think I was about 8 years old, and I was with, that's my father and my brother. Now, my family would always come up to the Gold Coast from Geelong in Victoria because it was way too cold in Geelong for us over winter. And we often spent family holidays here on the Gold Coast, which is now where I live, which is quite ironic. I was so blessed in my childhood. So looking back, my father was a natural storyteller. So he would, every single night when we sat down for dinner, just the four of us, my father would start telling a story about his day at work and the antics that happened in the day. And he'd always put a witty and funny spin on it. And it actually activated within my brother and my mother and myself the fact that we knew that we were going to sit down for dinner, and we would think about what our story was to share for that night. So I was really blessed to be brought up with this real storyteller father who activated me to share my stories from such a young age. And that really created such connection within the family unit and really made us feel safe and secure and heard, because we knew we could always voice our stories. It was something that we look forward to every single night. And it's something that I remember because my dad, it's 19 years since my dad passed away this year in May. And I remember his stories. I just remember them so vividly. So it's an incredible memory to have. And I look back and see that that legacy that he left was in the storytelling. And on the right is myself and my husband with our family that we have created. We have 3 sons, 2 teens, and a 6-year-old. And we continue that legacy that Dad created by allowing our children to storytell and actively encouraging them to storytell about their days.
Beautiful. For me, storytelling began with my mother, who was an English teacher, and she did a lot of creative writing in our environment, and that rubbed off on me on a very early age. These are real life examples. You can see the interesting handwriting I was exploring at the time as a young teenager, like 11 or 12. And every celebratory experience anyone was having, a birthday or a Mother's Day, I would write a poem. So you can see the little poems there that I'm kind of telling a bit of a story through the poem of how much I feel about these people. And it was my way of really expressing love. And I think that's one of the powers of storytelling, is it's not just you're telling a story, but it's the act of storytelling. It's actually going through the process yourself, reflecting on the stories, the love, the emotions that you wish to share with your audience, whoever that is, so that they can appreciate the effort that you've gone into sharing that story. You know, sometimes you read a story and you're just so touched by it because someone actually took the time to share it with you. Then that's what we're talking about. So for me, storytelling through poetry was like this outpouring of love that I had for others. And when I was looking for these a few weeks ago, I actually rang my mother and said, you know, all those poems I used to write as a kid, I don't suppose you've got those tucked away in the cupboard somewhere. And she's like, yeah, I think I do. So she pulled the whole lot out. She said it took her like 4 hours of this beautiful memory lane of reading all these poems and everything that I'd written as a kid. So, you know, it's fantastic to express ourselves in that meaningful way. And that's what connects with people. She said that's the most beautiful experience that she's had in years. So we can really create an impression when we do share from the heart through our stories.
So gorgeous, Sashua. So we're fast forwarding a few years now, and when I was a young adult, I started up a financial services company. And this is a photo here of myself, my two PAs, and a mortgage broker that I was mentoring at the time. And what fascinated me with my work in financial services that I'm so passionate about, what fascinated me was the stories that my clients had. And so if any of you have been to a mortgage broker or a financial planner, you know that we ask a lot of questions. We have to ask a lot of questions. And, you know, I would often be there and I'd have pages and pages of questions that I had to get through before getting to the advice or the strategy for the client. And I never rushed it. And I always listened to the client and just let the client tell the stories behind the finances, because there are so many stories behind them. And I was fascinated with my clients' stories. I was so fascinated that I remember getting told off by my head office because I was taking too long to do my interviews. And they're like, okay, well, so-and-so can get 6 interviews done in a day and you can only do 2. But the outcome of that for me was these really deep connections and really amazing relationships with my clients. I also had the clients they'd stay with me. So my client retention rate was way over 90%. And most of my clients would come back to me and purchase again off me. So it really helped my business in building my business by listening to these client stories and understanding my clients so much more as a result of it. Every single money, you know, like credit cards maxed out or massive loans or whatever, there's always stories behind it. So it's really fascinating when you link that to business.
It sure is. Another form of storytelling may be through other acts that you participate in life. And for me as a 30-year-old, it was actually through artwork. So I remember looking at a print in my sister's house one day, and I looked at it, and it was a Vasily Kandinsky print, you know, a fairly famous author. And I looked at it and I went, I'm sure I could paint that. not in a, I've done lots of painting way. I hadn't picked up a real paintbrush since school, but a friend of mine gave me a painting course for my 30th birthday. And I then went to study art for the next 2 years in that college and had a beautiful experience of my sister ripping a page out of a magazine and giving it to me and saying, here, I thought this might be a lovely thing to paint. And so I actually painted it in secret and then presented her back with the painting as a gift. And that is the painting on the left there. That was one of the very first paintings that I ever painted. So these are actually artworks that I created way back when. And for me, they always had a story. So the one on the left had that story of my sister and her connection. And she was so taken aback. That was, I won't say how many years ago, but quite a number of years ago that happened. And it's still on her wall to this day. And the picture on the right was actually my representation of memories that I had as a child of parties and things that would happen in our home, and me being a very little kid at the time and watching all this fabulousness happening around me. And so that was my representation of that. So again, storytelling can come in many forms, and sometimes we need to connect with all the different ways that we have expressed ourselves through life so that we can understand our storytelling capabilities and our ability to connect with others.
That was really fabulous artwork from young Sashua. So in 2020, it was during COVID, I was actually offered an opportunity to write in a multi-author book. And I had written a lot during my professional life in finance. I had written regularly for newspapers. However, I had never written about myself in a heartfelt and vulnerable way to be published to the world. And so I took the opportunity, and our book went to bestseller, both Australian and international. And it absolutely catapulted my visibility and my business from being part of this book with 28 other women. And it absolutely sold me on the idea that these books can be used strategically for business growth and also personal growth. At the end of 2020, I was actually offered the opportunity to start my own publishing company. And every cell in my body just screamed that I had to do it. However, I had these doubts, like, who am I to start a publishing house? I'm a financial advisor, I've done finance for all this time, but my intuition, which I always follow, it was so strong that I signed up and did it anyway. My first book, Radiant Visionary Women, Igniting the Light in Others, went to Australia bestseller overnight in our sleep the day before we published. So I absolutely knew that was confirmation for me that I was on the right track and in alignment by following my intuition and proceeding with the publishing company.
And the moment I saw one of Leanne's posts in a Facebook group that I'm never in and had never been back in since, I'm not a great Facebooker, sorry, Nick. I saw this post and Leanne was looking for authors for the book she has just mentioned. And I just knew instantly it was my opportunity to jump in. So this was my first experience as a published author in the Visionary Women Igniting the Light in Others book that we wrote together last year. It was an amazing experience. It just blasted all my misconceptions of what it was like to write in a collaboration book and the experience of being in a group of authors that took the experience like into the stratosphere. You imagine having that number of people working together in terms of visibility, marketing, how you can leverage the opportunities, the collaboration opportunities. It was just colossal. So for me, it was a real celebratory milestone of becoming an author and the grandiose experience of doing it with a group of other like-minded souls.
So we wanted to go through some business success through storytelling, just to show again how it can be applied to business. It's one of my most passionate areas of talking about. So in my finance business, it was about 8 years ago that I hired a new personal assistant, and I was running a busy office with a few financial planners in it, another mortgage broker, 2 PAs. And my new PA, she said to me, she would see the clients coming through and what I was doing for them. So basically my finance work focused on saving the clients a lot of money. So I'd restructure their finances, and, it was nothing for me to save them $500 to $1,500 a month just by strategically rearranging their finances. And so my new PA was watching all this, and she said, "You know what, Leanne, you need to write this down and get it out there." And we got this way of writing it down and getting it out to social media. So we wrote client success stories. They're like a case study, but we called them client success stories. Of course, being in finance, I had to make sure that everything was confidential for my clients. So I removed their names and replaced them with different names. And I made sure that the client couldn't actually be identified from the case study. I also would target specific clients that I wanted to bring into my business. So for example, if I wanted to bring in clients that had ATO debts, for instance, I would write about my clients that I had helped to restructure their ATO debts and save them a lot of money. And then I'd put it out on social media. And it was incredible, the ripple effect that had, and how that really increased my business, but exponentially at the time. I had a huge quantum leap in my business from doing that. And that was 6 years before I started this publishing company, 6 or 8 years. I think it was 2014 when I was doing that. What happened was that it'd go on to social media, and people would resonate with it, and they would tag their friends. They'd be like, "You need to talk to Leanne." My office would get calls. "Oh, I think my mum needs to talk to you, but I just wanted to run this past you first." It was just incredible, the effect that had. And you know what? That was a few minutes of my time once we had our template all down pat, and it was all free because it was via social media. So it was just an incredible tool for business growth and real authentic stories. People didn't resonate with, "I'm a finance broker and I can refinance you." They actually didn't even understand what that meant. But when I wrote it in a specific way to relay exactly what we were doing for the clients and the outcomes we were providing, my business skyrocketed from that.
Amazing, such powerful experiences. And for me, on the case study side of things, I'm a coach, speaker, and facilitator. So I use stories a lot in my business, and more so these days. So as a coach, when I'm working one-on-one or in group situations, I will actually take the people that I'm working with through a process of understanding their story. Now, that story might be of their past, and they might have misunderstandings about that story, but also the story that they wish to create in their life, the vision that they have for their life. And storytelling is that creative permission, I suppose, to be able to, wow, I wonder what that story could look like, could feel like, I wonder where that story could go. And so it's that process of activating stories in others that makes it very powerful for them to know what's possible in their life and to leave behind, the debris that they might be carrying with them from the past. As a speaker, of course, we're engaging with audiences, and story is, of course, a very powerful way to do that. If you've ever got time, I've got a fabulous story about how I met my partner, but we don't have time for that tonight. That's another story. And as a facilitator, when I'm working with teams, sometimes teams have very little awareness of their story, where they are at in their evolution as a team, even as a business. And so I do work with teams to help them understand, what part of their story are they up to? How are they creating their story? And is that the story they want to create? So there's very powerful techniques that we can use with that storytelling element to really check in with, where our current reality is and that vision of where we want to take ourselves. Much more powerful than just setting some goals and, striving along to try and achieve them. This is taking this to a much deeper, more meaningful element that people really engage with. So whether it's for an individual to engage in their own life, or whether it's a team, to engage more in their workplace or their small business, storytelling is an absolutely vital source of energy in those situations.
So what can be achieved through a high vibration collaboration book? Well, by now you should realize that I am completely so passionate about collaboration books rather than solo books. And I think solo books are great. However, I just love collaborating with other entrepreneurs and like-minded people. So combining energies and visions. Today, I took some of my authors through an exercise where we went through their biographies, and the energy in the room was just incredible. They all started getting on board, and all of the authors started to see each other's visions. So it's just unbelievable what magic can happen when you have people that are collaborating in a very deep level and combining their energy for the one purpose of that book. Learning new skills, increasing your visibility and credibility. Your visibility will increase exponentially because we are linking into every other author. We might have 33 authors in a book, and so it's not just you pushing your own little book on your own, it's 33 others tagging and liking and commenting and going out to all of their networks. So you can imagine the impact that has on visibility. It's absolutely huge. Creating a bigger impact and reaching new audiences, like I said before, the way we advertise these books and the momentum that it creates with everyone getting so excited, and then their friends and family and supporters jumping on board to support them with the book. It creates such a huge impact across the world. I was astounded at what happened with the first Radiant book. I had magazine publishers come to me and say, look, I want to put you in the magazine, podcast people with 2 million subscribers, so we want to talk to you or any of your authors. It opens up incredible doors. Exploring new areas of interest or an industry. We have some of our authors who are established business people, and they want to either launch a new course or they want to launch a new business. And writing a chapter in this book with all of the exposure that you get and the visibility that you get is a great way to do that. So it's a great leaping pad. And creating new opportunities and streams of income. Honestly, the magic that happens in these groups, you will actually get more opportunities than what you can action. And that's what's happened to my authors from last year. They'll get together again. They'll go, oh, we were meant to talk about that thing we were going to do together. There's just so much that you have to prioritize what you want to action. So yeah, just absolutely incredible what can be achieved through a collaboration book.
So true. And we all know, and I'm sure most of you in the room here, are solo entrepreneurs. And sometimes, the weight of reaching our audiences, finding new clients can weigh pretty heavily on our shoulders. And I did want to point out at this point, because I was listening to everyone when they shared at the beginning as to what their questions were and why they were here tonight. If you are going through a solo publishing experience, the way Leanne and I are describing a collaboration book, it's like creating that same amount of momentum as best you can around you to create the excitement. So you do things like get all your family and friends involved, let them know the process and keep people updated as you're writing the book. Don't wait until the book is ready to go. You want to get them involved. I've just written this chapter and here's a little snippet of it. What do you think? So you're engaging people throughout the process and really they're on the journey with you. That in itself is storytelling. And then when you're about to launch, you give that, hey, I'm going to launch on this day. Will you support me? And, that's the way to get that excitement and that creative momentum on the day of you launching the book. So all the things that we're talking about in relation to a collaboration book as part of this presentation, if you're a solo publisher or writer, just take what we're sharing in the context of what your experience is and where you want to take, the next book that you might be writing, because you'll get some real gold out of what we've been sharing there. So we know as entrepreneurs, a solo mission can be quite challenging, and there's only so far, we're constantly trying to stretch that circle. Does anyone have that feeling? You're constantly you're inside that little red circle and you're trying to push the walls out and push them out and push them out to get a bit more visibility, another podcast, another speaking spot with Nick Cree, just get yourself out there a little more. And what we've experienced in an incredible way, and it's hard to know until you do experience it, is that when you come together, that's what happens to your reach, audience, and visibility. It just takes over your whole world. And a lot of the experiences Leanne and I have had been global experiences. So we're working with people overseas. Just today, I've had 2 interviews with a fellow from San Diego and another from Illinois. And yesterday I was interviewed by someone from Chicago, all around the book as well. So there's a lot of international excitement. People in the writing community do want to support you and collaborate with you to get your word out there. And of course, when we have authors from all sides of the globe, then it really does take it to a whole new level. So it's about, getting together and, the more people you can support and work with each other as fellow authors, the more massive reach and visibility you can actually achieve. So, and yes, that is a worldwide experience. So actually, we did just want to do a quick technique at this point, Leanne.
Right, yes.
Yeah. So what we'd like you all to do is to get pen and paper handy. And let me just find what we're looking for, because at this moment it's disappeared off my screen. Okay, there we go. All right, so get pen and paper handy. And we'd like to just take you through just a quick meditation just to check in with where things are at for you right now. Now, what I want you to do is to think of an experience where you have felt on your own in business, where the buck has stopped with you, where perhaps the weight of being that solo entrepreneur is, falling heavily on your shoulders. So just tune into, what did that feel like? Okay, now give that a shake off. Bring yourself back into the present moment. Shake that feeling off. All right. And now as you tune in again, you can close your eyes if you wish. Now I want you to go to an experience where you were part of a really successful team. It could be a business project, a sport, a family, friends. Just take yourself to that feeling of being in that successful team. And remember the experience. How did you feel supported? How did you feel uplifted? Like someone had your back? And what about that experience just made you feel great, made you feel powerful and unstoppable? And what were the strengths of that team? What part did you play? What are the strengths that you saw around you? So I'd love it if you could just take a moment to write any of those feelings in the chat. What was your experience of being in that really successful team, that business, that sport, that family, friends group, whatever it was? And just share in the chat of the power of that collective energy. And we'll see what comes through. Empowering, right, Deirdre? That's so true. Yep. We can feel really empowered by others, that they have our back. Let's see what else comes through. I can see people busily typing. Mentoring less experienced staff, really proud of their achievements, right? Yeah, you're kind of all in it together, aren't you? So if one succeeds, then everyone succeeds. And that's so true. We found that with the last book, didn't we, Leanne? Like any win that any one of the authors had, it was like it was a win for all of us, you know, and everyone wanted to rally behind each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Nick shared, able to win despite handicaps. That's right, because you're all kind of up leveling each other. You know, everyone's got different skill sets and different businesses that they, you know, can contribute in different ways. So that means that everyone's kind of elevated by each other's experiences. Peter says, amazed at the level of success that no one else expected. Yeah. Wow. That sounds amazing, Peter. That's so true. You know, I have this saying that 1 + 1 equals greater than 2. Because when we come together, it's like we spark off each other. You know, Leanne and I are constantly surprised at the achievements that we create together, because, you know, it just sparks so much energy. Excitement at possibilities, Glenys. Yes, thank you for that. That's so true. So many possibilities. Like Leanne said, we're still exploring possibilities from the last book, let alone our current one. So it's like it's an ongoing community and feeling. Tiger shared, I have never felt supported within a group environment. I've always been the outsider. If it wasn't for my boss asking me to write a book for Amazon, I would have never found my writing abilities. How beautiful. My book got placed 427 out of 183,000. My God. And it's Dondra, but I'm interested in writing a bestseller now. Love that, Tiger. Look, Tiger's already a story writer because storyteller, because he's even doing it in the chat. I love that, Tiger. Thank you for sharing that experience. And, you know, sometimes a team can just be two, right? It doesn't have to be a massive group. But if we have that person in our corner or people in our corner, it can really, you know, send us on a whole new trajectory. Man, I love all your interaction. You guys are awesome. So Nathan shares, I was a winger on the rugby team and scored many tries because of how fast I was, but only because I had good teammates. Absolutely. You know, they're the ones that pass you the ball in the first place, aren't they, Nathan? So, yeah, it's so true. You know, we all kind of had moments throughout the last book where, you know, people were really rising in certain projects they were doing, or they finished their chapter first, and that helped everyone along, you know, encourage them to finish their chapter. So, yeah, it's quite an amazing experience. Well, thank you so much for that interaction. That is really fabulous. I'm appreciative of you guys getting in there and sharing with us. So we just wanted to share a few more things with you. Back to you, Leanne.
So who is a collaboration book for? So it's for coaches, professionals, solopreneurs wanting to connect more authentically with your audience, create masses of evergreen content. As part of this process, we just create so much content that you can snip and use for all your socials. You will never run out of content. Like, it's more than 12 months worth of content easily, you know, created from this project. you get to coaches, professionals and solopreneurs who want to share their story. So some of our authors just got to a stage in their life where they said, right, it's time for us to share our story. If you want to step beyond the overwhelm of writing your own book. Now, I can't remember the stats, Sashua, is it
97%.
I knew it. I said I can't remember that I said it.
Yes.
97% of people want to write a book. And is that what it is, Sashua? Or
Never do. Yeah. So it's like 97%.
About 1%
actually
authors do that.
Yeah. Actually get published.
So what the collaboration is it's a done for you book publishing program. So all you have to do really is write one chapter and everything else is done for you. So it's very enticing for those that really want to write their own book but are bogged down by, I mean, it's hard. It is not an easy process trying to do it on your own. So yeah.
And look, some of the benefits, as we've been talking about in coming together in a massive group in this way, is obviously expanding your reach exponentially. You're connecting with a global tribe, and we have a real global focus around this particular book. I'm spending a lot of time on Zooms at 6 o'clock in the morning with all sorts of different sides of the globe. and that's fantastic, right? Because people get quite excited with that international element and really want to support and be involved. It's an extensive PR exposure process. So, you know, for those people who want more podcasts, you get to write articles, you know, on the fact that you've just written a book. You might get radio and social media. You know, a few months ago through Source Bottle, actually, Nick, I was interviewed on Ticker News. So that was an amazing experience and got to talk all about collaboration and its benefits. So there's just so many possibilities, because 33 people singing the same song out there in the marketplace is very loud. It's very enthusiastic and it's very loud. So you really get to stand out from the crowd, elevate your profile, and most importantly, be your uniqueness. You know, that's one of the most major qualities of being a soulful storyteller, is to know that your stories have magic, that your stories are what the world needs to hear. And part of what we do in bringing these authors together is we actually have a whole coaching program that goes with it to enable people to understand that their stories matter. And that the more unique we are in sharing our message, then we're going to connect with just the right people we need to, as far as our ideal tribe is concerned. We also are very strategic in how we look at collaboration opportunities within the author community. In fact, that is part of the program, as well as to be involved in a preferred referral partner collaboration network. So that's, you know, Leanne and I with our strategic business hats on, going, well, how can we create massive value for the authors that step into this opportunity? Quite simply, get your book done in record time with masses of support. You know, that's the biggest thing with a lot of people writing, is they spend, you know, months, years, sometimes even decades, depending on the people you speak with, the ones we have lately, who have just been trying to get their book done. And this kind of takes that all away. You will be published within months, and it just makes the process so seamless. And it's also about, you know, exploring what other streams of income and abundance and opportunities that can come from this kind of a writing experience. So it's quite a colossal thing to explore.
And now our bonus is we're going to talk about publishing secrets. I feel like I need to give myself a drum roll for this one. So we got the next slide. So I'm just going to go through our process that we use at Radiant Books for publishing, and just give you some insights into how we do things differently, and yeah, what we do at Radiant Books. So as you've realized, it's we're not just about putting in a chapter and getting 30 chapters and then publishing, where it's so much more than a book with us. And so we have coaching programs that go through writing strategically and intuitively, finding your story, selling off the back of the book, leveraging off the group, exponential marketing through PR, monetizing your specials, how to create a masterclass, all sorts of things. So it's a 3-month coaching program. We have Zooms every single week for those 3 months, but we also get a lot of the writing done within the Zooms. So we're conscious that our entrepreneurial clients are busy, so we make the most of the time that we spend together and achieve a lot in a small amount of time. As far as the chapter writing goes, each chapter is around 3,000 to 3,500 words, and we guide you to write intuitively and strategically. So by that, I mean, we guide you to find the right story that is going to be able to be used to catapult your business off the back of this book. So we're going to use it to leverage your business, leverage your visibility, and create. So I put 3 filters on all of my authors and all of my decisions in my publishing company, as how will this increase my authors' visibility, impact, and create a legacy for them. So every decision's passed through those 3 filters. So we do strategically linking your chapter to your business with your heartfelt story. Then we get into editing and promoting. Now, once the chapters are written, they go off to a professional editor and they're edited. I tell the editor not to change any of the structural, like the story component, because that's your story and that's what needs to be told. However, they're edited for grammar, spelling, and just so as they make sense, and also so as the book flows as a whole, because as you can imagine, with so many authors, the book has to have a certain flow to it, and it also has to make sense to international readers as well as readers from Australia. So there's certain terms that we may use in Australia that won't be understood in the UK or the US, for example. So that's where the editing process comes in, just to make sure they're all standardized. And the chapters are then they come back to the clients, to my authors after they're edited, and my authors get to choose whether they accept the edits or not. So I let them do that. And then they go off again to be formatted for the book and put into a manuscript. And during that time, we're still meeting with our Zooms, and we're going into looking at how we can promote the book. So start promoting it before the launch. And this is how we get a lot of our leverage from the launch, because we are just promoting like a machine. You know, there's 30 of us just promoting like crazy, gathering our tribe that's going to support us when we launch this book. And we're just all promoting out there. We promoted so well with my first book, Radiant Visionary Women, Igniting the Light in Others, that right back at the start, we were promoting so well that I actually got threatened with legal action, and I had to change the title of the book. And rather than go into a depression and a panic about that, I was actually really thankful that that happened, because that showed me the power of the promotion and the group promotion that we've done. So it was just incredible. So then it actually gets processed into a manuscript, and we actually physically launch the book. So we set a date that we're going to launch it, and we build up to that with our social media and our advertisements. As I was saying, we get really, really loud, and it's a really exciting time. And then we actually launch the book at a certain time. So we send out all the links where people can purchase, and it's launched first as an electronic book on Amazon. And then later on, we do the paperback copy. And after it's launched, that creates such incredible momentum. All the authors are on a massive high about that. And, you know, it's such an exciting time. So we make sure that we use that incredible momentum from the launch and we go into a global festival. And the global festival is where the authors, they can choose if they don't want to, actually. I don't make them do this, but it's highly recommended, particularly as a business owner, where they can present a masterclass on their area of expertise. And then we link that all to the book, and we have like a week-long festival of really high energy and just expanding our reach globally more so again. So it's just a fantastic process. And, you know, the leveraging starts right from the start. We don't just bang on the leverage at the end. So that's an important thing to realize. We start with the end in mind. Even how we write our chapters and our biographies is with the end in mind, and what we plan to do, what we plan to sell off the back of this book, and all those sort of things. So Sashua.
What I love about all of that is that we are also, and as Leanne said before, really focused on helping people leave their legacy. Like, we're very strategic business people, and we want to make sure the project is a success. But what we're really doing is activating and enabling others to share their magic out into the world. And that is what creates the success that Leanne is then talking about. So it's really close to both of our hearts. Now, I know we've only got a few minutes left, so we will wrap up. So we've been through asking you the question, are you a storyteller? We're going to check in on that again. The power of storytelling and the different types of storytelling by sharing a bit of our experiences of our journey being storytellers throughout our lives, our own case studies of how being a storyteller has catapulted our own businesses, the possibilities of a collaboration book. We talked about the solo versus collective experience, who benefits and how, and Leanne just took us through just what we had time for in the publishing secrets. Of course, there's a lot more to it than that, but that is a great overview. So our question to you now is, do you believe you are more of a storyteller now than what you believed at the beginning of tonight's session? So what impact do you feel storytelling can make in your business? And if you could just pop some comments in the chat for us there, we will check in on those in a few moments. So what impact do you feel storytelling can make in your business? And have you perhaps just up-leveled your trust in being a storyteller already throughout tonight's session? So we'll check in on those in a moment or two. And I'll hand back to you, Leanne.
And just to end with, if you are ready to tell your story, to expand your business and create impact in the world, we are taking expressions of interest for our next collaboration book. That's called Radiant Stories from Soulful Entrepreneurs. And you can go to the landing page there, www.leanneclune.com.au/apply-soulful. Sashua, do you want to type that in the chat maybe so people can click on that if they're interested?
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot more information on the landing page. So take your time, have a read through, and we are more than happy to talk to you, submit an expression of interest if you're interested, and we will talk to you one-on-one, Sashua and myself. And we've got a bonus for the first 5 action takers who join our program. They receive an abundant author strategy session with myself and Sashua, valued at $600. So all you have to do is go to the landing page. If you resonate and you're ready, click on the link, click on do an expression of interest. You'll see it on the landing page, and we will get on the phone to you and sort that out.
Fantastic. All right. So let's have a quick check-in on the box. I know we've got about 1 minute to wrap up. And Nick, God bless you. You've put the link in the chat. Thank you so much. I was about to go find it myself. So let's have a look. Ron has shared storytelling is definitely a key part of our business. Our story is why we do what we do, right? That's so true. Thank you, Ron, for sharing. And Deidre, I like the idea of collaborating in C, more now and more inviting to do. Thank you. Yeah, it is just the most beautiful, immersive experience in community, Deidre. It would be amazing to be a part of. Neil shared, storytelling is central to my business as a speaker, group facilitator, and mentor, which I'm grounding in my lifetime of work across many locations. Love that, Neil. So a storyteller of old. No worries, Deidre. I kind of just flipped over the typos. And Tiger shared, yes, empowering, uplifting, brilliantly packaged to support and enable the writing of a book. Thank you. Yes, that is our absolute goal. The book I am writing is about his values and spiritual strength and identity to get through 4 years of being unjustly imprisoned. Amazing story. I'm sure it's going to be absolutely inspirational. And then he shared, you both nailed this in one. Thank you very much. Thank you for all your interaction, your enthusiasm. And I'm sure that, you know, as we said, we're talking about a collaboration, but everything we shared tonight is applicable to whatever stories you're telling and how you can create excitement and momentum around that for yourself. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. And we'd be happy to, just in the last few seconds, take any other questions or comments, feedback that anyone would like to share if we have time, Nick.
Excellent. Well, you've made it all sound so accessible. It's sort of so easy. So, you know, when sometimes it feels like a really daunting task to write a book, it, you know, after that, it sort of feels like, oh, well, I've got a couple of stories I can tell. I can probably do that.
That's it. So true. So true.
Excellent. All right. Well, look, thanks very much for agreeing to come on and share sort of something about writing stories. Stories are a big part of my life. I know that when I grew up through school, that was my best ever subject was English. And the best part of it was writing stories. So why did I stop? I don't suppose I ever did. I'm on social media, aren't I? Well, all right. So now you do have a prize to give away tonight as well, too, don't you? A door prize.
We do, yeah. We have a recording of a 2-hour masterclass that Leanne and I recorded only a few months ago, which is called Activating Your Vision with Speed and Ease. So there's some fabulous techniques in there which will really get your creative juices as a writer going.
Excellent. Fantastic. All right. Well, we do have, as usual, an interesting way to draw. We've got our wheel of names here, and everybody's name is in the wheel. So we'll spin the wheel, and the lucky winner gets that session with Sashua. So remember, you have to be here to win. So if it lands on anyone's name that's not here, then we redraw it. So let's spin the wheel. And we'll drum roll, please. And our lucky winner is Annie Burke.
Yay.
Annie. Yes, Annie's here. Fantastic.
Yes, I am. Thank you, ladies.
Oh,
Yeah.
great.
Excellent. That's perfect.
Awesome. Excellent. Well done there. Congratulations on winning that, Annie. That was worth coming tonight, wasn't it? Apart from all the information that we had. So maybe if we'll sort of introduce you both tomorrow if you don't know each other, but Lorena will come through and drop an email to both of you so to connect you up. But at this point, thank you very much, Leanne and Sashua, for coming on tonight and sharing your wisdom and thoughts and ideas about how to write a book. I know that I've got a few stories that I probably need to get out and write down. You know, the most fascinating thing that I've read is actually my grandmother's diaries. So, and these were her stories about how she met her or my grandfather, and you know, all that sort of stuff. All these stories are just so important in life, but they're really interesting as well too. So I always think, wow, I've got nothing interesting to tell, but you know, so I think, well, maybe my kids could be reading some of my stories many years down the track.
That's such a common thing, Nick, that people don't think that their stories are actually special, that people will benefit from them. But when you share them authentically, people are blown away. So if anyone's having that little seed of doubt in the back of their head, push it aside, explore your stories, delve deep into how they feel, and then share away.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
And I am bursting to say one more thing, Nick. We will definitely know if you use the artificial intelligence to write stories. Sasha and I will most definitely know.
Yes, we
Yeah,
will.
moving on to that. You won't get away with that with us.
I promise I won't use it, or I might, just to check. Excellent. Thank you for tuning in and listening to the Business Owners Smashing It Online podcast. You can also find me on social media and online. Just search for Business Owners Smashing It Online and Nick Cree, spelled Nikree, all one word. If you like this and want to hear more, subscribe now. Until next time, don't be a slave to your business. Get your business working for you.